One of the most annoying sayings I hear in the Magic the Gathering communities is, reading the card explains the card. And while yes, that does hold true more often than not, let's have a look at this card here, Progenitus. A 10 mana, 10/10 with protection from everything. Whoa! Protection from everything? That sounds pretty impressive. And as every snooty Magic player has told us, reading the card explains the card. So this is pretty self-explanatory, right? This creature has literal protection from everything, right? Hold on a second. What is that? Is that an asterisk? Okay, so what does protection from everything really mean? As always, let's start at the source of truth, the comprehensive rules. Rule 702.16J tells us everything we need to know about protection from everything. To summarize, protection from everything means that a player or permanent with that ability can't be the target of spells or abilities of any kind, they can't be enchanted by auras, and permanents can't be equipped by equipment, fortified by fortifications, or blocked by creatures, and all damage that would be dealt to them is prevented. So that lists out a lot of things, but that's certainly not everything that cards in Magic the Gathering can dish out. Let's cover the things that protection from everything doesn't protect you or your permanents from. To start, non-targeted destruction or exile effects can get around protection from everything. Cards like Wrath of God or Farewell are perfect examples. Even Black Sun Zenith or Toxic Deluge can kill a creature with protection from everything if you have enough mana or life. Don't forget about Edict effects too. Cards like Diabolic Edict, Sheoldred's Edict, and Soul Shatter can force an opponent to sacrifice their creature with protection from everything if it's their only creature on the battlefield, or in the case of Soul Shatter-like effects, if it has the highest mana value. It's important to note though that this non-targeted exception doesn't apply to everything. Blasphemous Act, for example, will not destroy Progenitus. This is because Blasphemous Act specifically deals damage to the creature, and protection from everything prevents all damage that would be dealt to it. Now that's something to keep in mind for players too. If a player has protection from everything, damage dealt to them will certainly be prevented, but protection from everything says nothing about losing life, so cards like Bond of Agony and Exsanguinate can still get around protection from everything. It's non-targeting and it's not dealing damage. Remember, damage causes loss of life, but life loss is not damage. Another non-targeting ability that people often forget about is Proliferate. Proliferate lets you choose any number of permanents or players that have counters on them, and they get an additional counter of each type they already have. And as per the rules, this ability doesn't target. So if you have an opponent who is on 9 poison counters and they have just played the One Ring to give themselves protection from everything, you can still take them out of the game simply by proliferating and giving them that final poison counter. One final way to get around protection from everything is almost exclusively reserved for those playing red. Now there are 2 green cards that do the special thing we want, but one of them is Whippoorwill and its ability targets, so it doesn't help out here. The other one has an ability list so long nobody actually remembers what it does, so we'll go over that shortly. What we're looking for is cards that say damage can't be prevented. An important rule to know about is Rule 101.2. When a rule or effect allows or directs something to happen, and another rule states that it can't happen, the can't effect takes precedence. So while protection from everything says all damage that would be dealt to a permanent or player is prevented, Flaring Pain would allow cards like Blasphemous Act to deal damage to creatures, or allow you to deal damage to a player. Speaking of, one of Questing Beast's many lines of text says, combat damage that would be dealt by creatures you control can't be prevented. So if you attack a player who has protection from everything, Questing Beast will allow all of that damage to go through. It's worth noting that some of these damage prevention effects do require a target in order for them to resolve. A classic example that you might see in today's meta is players casting the Stomp half of Bone Crusher Giant on themselves or one of their creatures purely to bypass a creatureless player who has just cast the One Ring. So now you know how to get around protection from everything. But did you know, with just 2 cards, you can permanently steal creatures from players while playing in red and white? Want to learn more? Well, check out this video here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.